The exception is language. Because if you can identify what a word meant, what meaning, like whether the root and radicals, what it was put together with everything else to convey meaning, if you can get to the root of that, somebody cannot conceal the original meaning of that word from you. And that is powerful because that is history. And this is why language is so important.
Absolutely. And I think that for me has made my journey of someone who has, being honest, like that American mindset where it was like, man, I don't want to learn all these languages. I don't really give a shit. Like it, growing up, because the way the establishment is, some people like it, whatever, but it's like, for most of us, it's like, why do I need to know this? Like, what's the point? Everywhere I go is English. Yeah. And understanding that there is a lot of beauty in English language, like the amalgamation of it all, and just the sense of, understanding. If you start getting excited about this, you can start to use, being that a lot of people do speak English, the relationships that you show in your books of like, and I know this is kind of offhand, but like the Rama, Rem, Reme, Romulus, and you start to see this pattern of like all of these words. You're like, oh, wow, this English word connects to this German word, which connects to this, Latin word. And now we're talking Sanskrit, and you're going, oh, wow, there is this connection that makes it, at least for me now, with knowing the background, you're like, I want to know more. I want to see how these pieces connect. I want to see what other words start to have that relationship, and knowing, wait, how does this word with this meaning in this language mean this, and how does that relate to this one that has a completely different meaning? And you realize that they're not that different. It's because it's telling the story. It's telling, as we keep talking here about the sun, it keeps talking about, the constellations. It's talking about where we are in the year. And that's where it's all coming from. And that's where it's now, we're not spending our nights, at least for me, not when I'm outside walking my dog, it's not here, it's up here. And just think about how powerful that is for a lot of us to just look up and, just allowing this to happen. I mean, structurally talking about the body here. And I've just did an entire almost hour on Instagram about talking about the difference of looking up and having this position in the spine to compare to here. And there's truth to that. There's 100% truth to that. And learning from you, language, you see it right on the body. You see that soft spot in the brain, and the front spot is called the anterior fontanelle, the fountain of God, El Fontana, and that's just little things that I've been doing, learning from you. It's going, okay, we have this vessel with all this language. What the fuck does it even mean? And you start to connect those pieces, or at least I have, and it gets you excited.
Well, what you'll see, this is why you need to actually learn these languages to the best of your ability, or at least start getting familiar with them, is because what you'll see is that they're all actually the same language. Just like the symbolism, people are like, well, how can this mean the sun? And how can this be the sun? Because it's the same system. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's the same alphabet. They're just dressing things up differently. And whether that's due to the region and the cultural phenomenon that happens with that, or whether it's an intended design for each region, I can't tell you that. I haven't gotten to that yet. I don't know. But it's the same system. That's what I'm saying, is like, it's undeniably the same system, which is why in book 5, I'm exploring this is where this ultimately goes to, is how can this be if there wasn't an older civilization we're not being told about? It's impossible. It is impossible for the Mexicans to be speaking a different dialect of Hebrew, having the same mythos as the Christians and the Jews in one story, not broken up, without having the use of letters. So they didn't get it from the Europeans or anybody who was tied to that. They had it before letters existed. They had it. They don't have the ability to mine iron and smelt that. They could mine gold, because if you look at the old accounts of America, the sand is littered with gold. Gold is everywhere. People don't appreciate how much friggin' gold has been mined out of the Americas. They have no friggin' clue, because they haven't read an old book. They haven't read anybody's account from the 1600s when they were here. I have, So it's like, this is an old system. It's observable. How did this happen? What's being covered up? And that's what's really fun to explore. And the more people we get all over the world to actually bring themselves up to this level to see the system, the more they're going to be able to look at their own cultures, their own histories, their own religions, and everything else, and pick it apart with these keys, because it is a system. Every system has its keys. And so now going into like Rome, because you brought up the Rama, let's get Rome going.
Let's do it.
So just a little winter solstice gravy for you.